Welcome everyone. I am Charles, also known as the Round Mountain Zepbound. Now, when I gave my last update, I had just wrapped week 71 after completing an attempt on a 14-day injection schedule. I had made the determination at the time that 14 days is probably just a little bit too long, and I would move to a 10-day injection schedule. I weighed in at the completion of week 71 at 202.6, which was a gain of 2.1 pounds from where I was at the end of week 70. So that increase in weight was driven by constipation that I had experienced during that week. A while back, I had discussed how home body comp scales measure solid waste as fat. This is because neither fat nor solid waste conduct electricity. So when the electricity that the scale sends through the body encounters resistance, it sees it as fat. An example of this is I had a body fat percentage of 19% at the end of week 70, which is a normal measurement for me. It usually is somewhere between 18.8 and 19%. At the completion of week 71, that body fat percentage jumped to 19.5%. In terms of weight, it is indicating that I gained 1.4 pounds of body fat, which is highly unlikely. However, after I weighed in just 2 days later on May 25th, once I got things moving, I weighed in at 199.7 with a 19.1% body fat percentage. Then on May 26th, I weighed in again at 198.8 with a 19% body fat percentage. This would mean that I lost 3.8 pounds in just 3 days, but I really know that it was me being backed up and not actual weight loss. This has been kind of a recurring theme for me going back over the last 3 weeks or so. And honestly, it has become really a point of contention for me. Logically, I know that the fluctuation on the scale is driven by my constipation. Yet I found myself trying to offset that by increasing my workouts. I find myself thinking things like, if I go an hour on the treadmill instead of 30 minutes, or maybe if I skip weights today so I can do more cardio, that things will work themselves out. I will drop that weight, but it's not really weight loss. It's the constipation that's causing it. But, logically I know that, but I'm getting into my mind, I'm getting it into this creep into my mind that I need to offset this by doing something extra, which is not healthy. It's not something that I want to do. It's not somewhere where I want to be mentally. I know the cause of the fluctuation, and even with the fluctuation, I'm still within my goal range. I know that how my clothes fit hasn't changed. I know that my body hasn't changed negatively. If anything, I'm seeing more definition in my body, more muscle definition. Yet here I am trying to counteract the number on the scale by trying to increase my workouts and workout intensity. Now, I don't know what's going on with the constipation. It appears to increase as the week goes on. I'm using Marilax and Magnum 7 Daily to get ahead of the constipation and to stay ahead of it. But that doesn't seem to be helping. On Thursday of week 72, I used some magnesium citrate because that seems to be the only thing that works to get me moving. I stepped on the scale that Thursday night to gauge where things were going to be on the scale, and it said something around 206. I didn't stay on the scale long enough for it to actually record, but I think it was somewhere around 206.5. When I weighed in on Friday morning after things had gotten moving, I weighed in at 201.9. So that is a difference of over 4.5 pounds overnight. My body fat percentage was at 19.4%. So I still had more that I was holding on to, which came out a few hours later, multiple times on Friday during the day. And then I saw the same thing on Thursday of week 73. I stepped on the scale on Thursday night, and the scale said something around north of 207. Again, I didn't stay on it long enough for it to record. I just wanted to gauge. And after everything started moving on Friday morning, I was at 202.3. Again, a big loss of over 4.5 pounds. Again, a body fat percentage of 19.4%. So I know that I was still holding on to something, even though I got a lot of it moving out. And typically, I would see about a 2-pound difference between if I were to step on the scale on Thursday night and weigh myself on Friday morning. There's usually about a 2-pound difference when I do that Friday weigh-in. But now we're talking about a 4.5 pound difference. And to further drive this constipation and fat percentage thing home, a few days after I got things moving, after weighing in for week 73 on Friday, I checked my weight again on Sunday, and it was at 200.4, and my body fat percentage had dropped down slightly to 19.3%. So, I lost about another 2 pounds since that Friday, and moved just a little bit on the body fat percentage. Then on Monday, which is this morning, I'm recording this on Monday evening. On Monday morning, I weighed in, and after some further movement, my weight was back down to 198.6, which is where I normally would expect it to be and where it had been prior to experiencing the constipation of the last 3 weeks. And my body fat percentage was at 19%, which is where I would normally expect it to be. So I don't know if this is the result of that OAR spacer that they put in to protect my rectal wall from the radiation treatment when I was going through the prostate cancer treatment. I don't know if it's that spacer starting to break down and causing this constipation, or if it's something else. Now, reading up on it, I have seen where the spacer can cause constipation and can disrupt the bowel. It can take about 3 months for it to start breaking down, and I am at that window right now. And then it takes up to 6 months for it to completely absorb and be excreted. I think this has been the most frustrated I have been on this entire journey. Maintenance has been a lot more difficult than me than the actual journey, trying to figure out all the nuances of things, and then you throw in the constipation and the radiation treatment. But this constipation over the last 3 weeks has been the most difficult because I don't have a pinpoint as to what's driving it, and I don't want to keep relying on magnesium citrate to get me emptied out. And I'm trying not to let my competitive side drive me into overworking out and to let my logic and reason get pushed to the side. I will try to up my water some more to see if that will help. I don't know. I have started taking a fiber supplement by Garden of Life. It has 9 grams of fiber. I think it's like 5 grams soluble and 4 grams unsoluble, or it may be the reverse, but it's 9 grams of fiber. And as a bonus, it also has 8 grams of protein that I can add to the mix for the day. It has probiotics, so that will supplement the pre and probiotic that I'm taking on a daily basis. I think the supplement that I have now has about 30 billion pre and probiotics, so this will just add to that. So hopefully doing these 2 things will help me out. We'll see how that goes over the coming week. Now, I'm sorry to talk so much about constipation. It's probably too much information for some people, but if you're on this GLP-1 journey, you can probably relate, and hopefully it can help someone else out there that may be dealing with something similar. The cause of mine may be different than what other people have been experiencing because of the OAR spacer for my prostate treatment and because of the radiation that was being beamed in that area that was helping to cause constipation. But what I'm dealing with and what I'm doing to try to resolve it may help someone else that may be having something similar going on. Anyway, the 10-day window went a lot better than the 14-day window. There's still a lot of loud food noise once I get past day 7, and that is expected because around day 6, it always is at its loudest point prior to me taking the injection on the 7th day. So having that food noise from day 7 to 10 is a little more expected. What I have to do is better manage that by eating more healthy foods and more protein to fill me up, so I don't turn to sweets, because as I've stated before, sweets is my food noise weakness. So I think I may continue the experiment with the 10-day window. All in all, I completed week 73 at 202.3, again with a 19.4% of body fat. So logically, I know that this is constipation related, but officially, based on my Friday weigh-in, that 202.3 pound weigh-in, although I'm taking it with a grain of salt, now places me at 112.8 pounds, down from my starting weight of 315.1 back on January 12th of 2024. This is a 35.8% loss from my starting weight. My blood pressure was measured at 106/60. My body fat percentage was measured again at 19.4%. I am down 155.7 pounds from my highest weight of 358, which is a 43.5% loss. So again, I want to thank you for checking in with me. If you haven't already done so, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the comments. Thank you very much.